If you really want your English to sound natural, to have that fluent feel, it's the small details that make all the difference. And one of the biggest little hurdles is knowing when a verb should be followed by another verb ending in, you guessed it, ing. So today, let's crack this code together.
So let me ask you this. She enjoys swimming, or she enjoys to swim. Which one is it? If you paused for even a split second, you are in exactly the right place, because by the end of this, you're not just going to know the right answer, you'll get why it's the right one.
All right, let's kick things off with the basic pattern. Seriously, if you can get your head around this one core idea, it's like the key that unlocks everything else we're going to talk about. So what is this pattern? Well, it's pretty simple on the surface. When you have two verbs right next to each other, that second verb sometimes has to change. It gets that ing ending tacked on. The fancy grammar name for this is a gerund. So in our example, they admitted cheating. The verb admitted forces cheat to become cheating. The real magic, of course, is figuring out which verbs actually trigger this change. And that, my friends, brings us to the good news. There are whole families of verbs that almost always follow this rule. I call these the easy wins. If you can just learn the category, you're going to get it right pretty much every single time.
So, easy win number one is all about feelings. How you feel about doing something. Verbs like love, enjoy, hate, or my personal favorite, can't stand. These guys are almost always followed by that ing form. And hey, look at that. We just answered our first question. It has to be, she enjoys swimming, because enjoy is all about feelings. You don't enjoy to do something, you enjoy doing it. Simple as that.
Next up, we've got verbs that are all about the timeline of an action. Starting it, continuing it, or stopping it altogether. So think about words like start, finish, keep on, or give up. For example, you'd say, she gave up smoking last year. The verb give up ends the activity, so the activity itself, smoke, has to take that ing form.
And our third easy win group covers all the verbs that happen inside your head or come out of your mouth. Basically, verbs about thinking and saying. This includes words like admit, deny, suggest, and consider. Remember our first example? They admitted cheating. Well, admit is a verb of saying, of course. So the action that comes after it, cheat, has to become cheating. See how it all connects?
Okay, pay attention, because this next one is a total game changer. This is the one rule you can rely on 100% of the time. If a verb comes right after a preposition, those little words like in, on, at, about, for, that verb has to end in ing. No exceptions. It's an unbreakable rule. You're not interested in learn, you are interested in learning. It's such a simple and powerful shortcut.
All right, now that we've got the basics down, it's time to level up. We're heading into the pro-level stuff now. This is where English gets really cool and, yeah, a little bit tricky. There are some verbs that can be followed by either the ing form or the to form, but the meaning completely changes depending on which one you pick. Nailing this is where you really start to sound fluent.
Okay, let's take the verb remember. If you say, I remembered locking the door, that ing tells me you're talking about a memory from the past. You can picture yourself doing it. The action is over. But if you say, I remembered to lock the door, that means you didn't forget to do your job. It was a task you had to complete. So one is about a past memory, the other is about a future-focused task. That's a huge difference in meaning.
Oh, this is a perfect example. She stopped smoking. What does that mean? It means she quit the habit. She doesn't smoke anymore. The activity is finished, hopefully for good. But she stopped to smoke. That means she was walking down the street, she paused what she was doing in order to have a cigarette. They are literally the opposite. One means quitting an action, the other means pausing to start one. Wild, right?
Now this one is a little more subtle, but just as important. If you say, he tried fixing the computer, it sounds like he was experimenting. He unplugged it, he restarted it, he was just trying different things to see what would work. But if you say he tried to fix the computer, that suggests he made a real focused effort to complete a difficult task. And he probably failed. It emphasizes the struggle of the attempt, not the experiment itself.
Okay, let's wrap this up with a few power moves. Think of these as bonus patterns and expressions that will just instantly make your English sound more natural and sophisticated.
A lot of common English idioms just have the VING pattern baked right in. Take this one. It's no use crying over spilt milk. A native speaker would never, ever say it's no use to cry. It just sounds wrong. When you learn these phrases, you're absorbing the grammar pattern without even thinking about it.
And here are a few more to stick in your back pocket. You always say, it's worth doing something, or you spend time doing something, or you have difficulty doing something. Do you see that pattern? These are fixed phrases, so you can just learn them as a whole chunk, and you'll always be correct.
And for our grand finale, 2 last super useful tricks. First, for fun activities, we almost always use go plus the ing form. Let's go shopping. Let's go hiking. Let's go swimming. And the second one, this one is really cool. When you say something needs doing, like the car needs washing, it's actually a clever shortcut for the passive voice. It just means the car needs to be washed. It's clean, it's concise, and native speakers use it all the time.
So, let's take a breath. We've gone from the basic rules to the tricky exceptions and even covered some advanced native-sounding phrases. So what's the one big idea you should walk away with?
Here's what it all boils down to. This isn't just about memorizing lists of verbs for a test. It's about understanding that choosing between ing and to is a choice about meaning. It gives your words a whole new layer of precision. It lets you say exactly what you mean, whether you're talking about a memory, a task, an experiment, or a big effort.
And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. Why do you think a language like English develops these tiny, subtle differences? It's kind of a fascinating window into how a language grows and evolves to express all the different shades of human experience. Something to ponder. Thanks for diving into this with me.